Hey guys, Fireblade here, and welcome to another installment of What If Yang is a Saiyan. It's been a month since I uploaded the last one, so I got through watching all of Volume 3, and like I said, just like Volume 1, not a lot of stuff happened, but the things that do happen is huge, and almost the entire scene is changed, but it still gets the ending that it has. Anyways, to start this off, the tournament that Team RWBY have, Yang has more fun with it, and since she's getting a lot stronger, she starts getting cocky. So this causes almost one of her teammates to get knocked out, but they still all win anyways. And then she also, like I said, she had a little bit easier time against Neon and with Mercury. However, with the fight at the end of the fight with Mercury, where Yang believed she saw Mercury attack thanks to Emerald's semblance, Yang notices that while Mercury was attacking, his energy didn't spike at all, didn't come up at all. But Yang acted on instinct and attacked Mercury anyways. And during the confrontation that Team RWBY had with Yang, General Ironwood, he's a bit more strict on Yang's stuff like that, considering he knows that she's a Saiyan, and the little information that they gathered, especially from the recordings and stuff like that, they knew that the Saiyan is a powerful race and stuff like that. So General Ironwood is more strict with Yang, but he still lets her go because he saw how Yang has grown up, basically. So he doesn't think of her as the monster that they're meant to believe due to the recording of the ship. When Blake hesitates to believe Yang, Blake says that knowing what you are, just seeing what has happened, all this feels very familiar. Yang is heartbroken, obviously. Hurt essentially, because Yang doesn't know she's a Saiyan herself. She thinks she's a. So when Blake says that, Yang is thinking that Blake is talking about how she's a human, essentially. But just like in the original anime, Blake also believes Yang. Now, in the fall of Beacon, when Penny dies, when Cinder is on the speaker, essentially, not only does she state the same thing, but she also mentions that Yang is a Saiyan as well, or an alien at least, saying something along the lines like, What use would Ironwood have for disguising a soldier as an innocent little girl? And what use would Ozpin and Ironwood have for keeping an alien who is so powerful that can take us out with one finger, live in plain sight, live with us all? I don't think the Grim could tell, stuff like that. Essentially, not only bringing down the trust from Ironwood and Ozpin, but also, destroying Yang publicly, essentially, which is not the result they're always going to go for, but it still works. Now, one of the biggest scenes, which I say changes but still gets the same results, essentially. The fight with Adam, essentially, it's not really a fight in the anime, but it essentially becomes a fight. When Blake is hurt and Yang sees that, Yang obviously is upset about it. She goes and rushes like normal, but during that, Yang is actually started to transform into a Super Saiyan. But because she loses her arm, that interrupts the transformation, at least for now, essentially, for a little while. Adam thinking that he's going to end this off right now. Blake trying to protect Yang. Yang gets up, essentially, really exhausted and stuff like that. But she still manages to pick herself up, not facing Adam. Adam commends Yang for at least getting back up, at least. Say something that she's a strong one, but not strong enough, or something like that. Yang replies saying something along the lines of, first you come to speak and bring the Grim to destroy all the Beacon, then you hurt Blake, I will never forgive you. I will kill you, essentially. Something along the lines of that. Adam and Blake, who they can feel the intensity and danger from Yang increasing. Blake, who is like almost next to her, essentially, feels it more stronger, especially because of their bond, essentially. Blake is worried and scared and has a bunch of mixed feelings, essentially. Adam, who also feels the danger from Yang, ignores it because he thinks that she won't be able to do anything with it. Then with the slash of his sword, before it can even touch Yang, Yang lets out this huge war cry, essentially, engulfing her in this golden aura, and shoots up into the sky, which literally stops everything. The Grim, the soldier, even some of the robots that were still active. They see this, and some of the Grim, they can feel the anger and stuff like that, but they're scared to go near it. They don't even go near it. And the Grim that are near actually runs away from it. Crow sees this right now, and he thinks that it's Yang, so he goes over there to try to get to Yang, essentially. Ruby and Weiss and everyone else, like I said, also see this. They think it's Yang, and they guess correctly, obviously. But before they can even go there, Ren and Nora tells them that Pyrrha and John have to get back, so they go over there, stuff like that. Speaking of Pyrrha and John, they also see this as well. Cinder, she doesn't see this, because when she finally reaches up, it is already diminishing, essentially. But they see this, and Pyrrha, this doesn't stop Pyrrha at all from doing what she does, essentially getting herself killed. But this gives... So after that light show, essentially, Yang's hair is more spiked up. Essentially, you can tell she's a Super Saiyan, because her hair is more golden than blonde, essentially. It's more golden. Her eyes are now turquoise, and her aura is flaring up, essentially. That's one of the things you can tell that she's become a Super Saiyan. Because as I said before, her semblance, which we know as her semblance, was actually a false Super Saiyan state mixed in with the little bit of the Summer Maiden's power, essentially. After that, Yang slowly turns around to face Adam and gives her the Goku death stare when he first became a Super Saiyan. Blake is wondering what is happening to Yang, where she got this much power, essentially. And Yang doesn't really answer. She just tells Blake to get out of here, and let her deal with this. Blake's still shocked and can't even move. Yang yelled at Blake, saying something along the lines that if you don't move, you'll end up being killed as well. Leave now. Which prompts Blake to leave, essentially just leaving the building. Because Yang is more focused on Adam. Adam, who is, like I said, still underestimating Yang at this point, just like say something along the lines like, "You trying to kill me with one arm? I doubt it, human." Something along the line, something like that. Which prompts a fight, to a quote fight, between Adam and Yang. The reason I say quote fight is because it's not really a fight. Yang obviously dominates against Adam, but this is more to adrenaline, basically. But Adam does get in a few jabs at Yang, but not enough to where it would hurt Yang. Because of the missing arm, her power is, the amount of power she has is going down fast. So before Yang could actually kill Adam, she just sends Adam off, essentially, with like a sort of ki blast thing. Afterwards, Yang faints, falling out of her Super Saiyan state. Blake, who's right outside, goes to Yang and stays with Yang throughout the entire time, because the mandatory evac are left and there's nowhere else for them to go. Afterwards, they see the blinding light of RWBY when her super eyes activates essentially. And so Crow finds Yang, something like that. She calls Glinda to bring her over here. Crow flies to RWBY with the transform into a bird. Flies to RWBY, tells her exactly what it is. Yang, who is like heartbroken, obviously that Blake. Yang, who is heartbroken after everything settled down. She's heartbroken, obviously that Blake had left her and she lost her arm essentially. And that plays out. Now, I'm not gonna say anything about Volume 4 yet because I could obviously mix in Volume 1, Volume 3, and 4. However, I'm gonna implement some of the little bit of healing that Yang does between volumes, essentially throughout the time skip. After Yang had gotten her arm cut off, she almost died essentially. And when they say that your flight flashed before your eyes, Yang actually sees her birth parents, her Saiyan parents, and he remembers them saying something along the lines like, "Do the Saiyan race proud," and something like "escape Frieza," and something like that. Essentially, something like that. And throughout all this, Yang is just confused about who she is exactly. She's starting to have a crisis essentially. So she talks to her father. So she talks to Tai Yang, asking him who Yang is, like what is she really. So Tai Yang tells her what he knows essentially. Well, not everything, but tells her what that Yang's not from here essentially, and that's all essentially. Yang obviously knows that Tai Yang's holding back, so Yang tells Tai Yang what she saw in the flash when her arm was cut off, about her birth parents, about what they said and stuff like that. And then Tai Yang tells the rest of the story to Yang and stuff like that. Yang doesn't do much. Obviously, just trying to soak all this in, and it still takes most of the time skip that she starts to come back essentially to how she was at the start of Volume 4. At the start of Volume 4. But because she's been told everything that they know essentially, she just reverts even more in essentially, not wanting to be talked to at all. Like I said, afterwards she comes back up to essentially how she was essentially at the start of Volume 4. And I'd say that's about it essentially. Like I said, not that much really happens, but the stuff that does happen, it's pretty big. So yeah, I will say this: after I get done with Volume 5 of the What If, I'm gonna stop until Volume 5 actually Volume 6 starts, and then rewatch that after Volume 6 ends. I'm gonna rewatch it all, and then give my what if on what if Yang was saying for that volume. It's gonna happen throughout the entirety of RWBY essentially. So yeah, essentially this will be an ongoing what if. Yeah. Like I said, if there's any other what ifs that you want to see me from any kind of fandom, any kind of show, like Dragon Ball Z essentially. Funny enough, I'm watching Moscow X's what if. Anyways, yeah. If you liked the video, be sure to click that like and that subscribe button. I would love to more for you guys. And if you want to see another what if essentially, tell me down in the comments below. Anyways, Fireblade here, and I will see you later, whatever I make. Bye.